All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Pete's Quarter Life Crisis. In this one, we have something a little bit different, but also pretty awesome. Since I've been doing coin videos and talking about coins more, I have had some family members sometimes reach out and ask questions, and I love talking coins. In this case, my Uncle Mike, reached out to me and we started talking coins a bit. And then I saw him yesterday, and out of the blue, he just said he had something for me, and that piqued my interest. And he brought me into a room, and he had an entire case of coins. Uh, I was a little bit speechless. I didn't know what to say, especially once I started going through them because it's a considerable collection, as you'll get a better view of in a minute. I'll start with the stuff that was on top. It's not a Waze camera. It's just a box of wheat cents. So we're gonna go through those and look for varieties or rare years. I don't believe he's gone through and looked for varieties on any of these, but all of the coins are marked by year and mint mark that are in the case. Well, not all, as you'll see in a second. This little case had random foreign coins. You can see some Mexican silver on the front. We'll get a better view of this all in a second. And yeah, let me bring you down to a better view to see inside the box. Hold on. All right, so here's the inside of that little container. We're going to go through this a little bit better, but just giving you a sneak preview. We got some Mexican silver. Looks like possibly some British silver, but I have not looked through that other than looking through at the top two coins of Mexican silver, which I always enjoy. The case is cool enough. It's kind of this vintage metal case, so we are going to open it up and look inside and not scratch my monitor. Hold on. Okay, so on the top we have some, starting out with some currency. I looked at some of this just to get an idea. I mean, I couldn't help myself, just to get an idea of what we're looking at. So this is, I think, a Malaysian $10 bill. Well, the Japanese government controlled them. 1920, 28 silver certificates. Oops. Sorry. Some other silver certificates. This one's in pretty good condition. It's from 1957. $2 red seals. Banco de Mexico. Put that back. And then, so this is how the coins are kind of set up. There's some loose coinage over here, including some Mercury dimes, some Buffalo nickels, a super worn Morgan dollar that has been holed, maybe used as jewelry or a pocket coin or something. Just 40% Kennedy, Benji. Saw a pretty cool quarter in here that looks like it had been shot. It's kind of concave. Looks like possibly like a low caliber bullet. Took it out. So we're going to go through this in a little bit. And I'll be looking for varieties, errors, any rare dates, key dates, semi-key dates, and I'll be keeping a track of all the variety of coins that I find. So like here we're starting with some V nickels, it looks like. More V nickels. Some 1950 nickels. Can't get those in. Got some Indian head pennies over here. Some Lincoln pennies. More Lincoln pennies in here. Standing Liberty $50. Some Benjis. And then Mercury dimes. So we got quite the assortment of things to go through. More Mercury dimes. These are all Mercury dimes. Got silver quarters, starting with, I believe 38 was the opening year. I think 38 S and D were the rare ones, and I didn't see that. Oh, 36? Maybe 36 was. Well, I'll have to go through this in greater detail, but more silver quarters. Back here are Eisenhower dimes. So a lot of stuff to go through. Let me get a little bit more organized, and I'll bring you back and let you know what we're doing to look it all up. Alright, so I've separated all of the foreign coins that were in that little box, and let's go through them starting over here. So we have 5 pesos, 72% silver. Not a rare year, but the melt value alone is like $15 or something. A lot of silver in there. This one is less so, 1961 un peso. It's only 10% silver. Some Mexican copper and some brass. Nothing super rare or old. And then some more modern un pesos, and those are copper nickel. And heading over to the Canadian side, we had these are all Canadian dimes, silver dimes, different kings and queens. I should have said different kings and queen, because Queen Elizabeth II was the only queen during this period. So we have George V. His coins were 1920 to 1936. Then we have George VI. His coins were from 1937 to 47. And then Elizabeth II, her young portrait, and then another Elizabeth II, slightly older portrait. We had one clad silver quarter for Canada. So this is the clad British stuff. 1 shilling. It's pretty close. 1961 and in 1951 sixpence. Both of those are copper nickel, and then some copper British. There's a 1 penny and then a halfpenny. And then we had 1 British coin that is silver, 1945. This coin is George VI again, and this is 50% silver. Then we had some German coinage, some copper coins, and then this one is really old. It's from, let's see if we can see it, 1875. Let's pick it up. 1875, and it's 5 pfennig in it, but it is copper nickel. We had 1 Filipino dime. I think it's 44. 1944, United States of America minted these. This one was minted in Denver, 10 centavos. You can see the mint mark on the Denver mint mark down there, 1944. The more rare mintages of these were minted in Manila, which was the only mint the United States ever had outside of the US, which is interesting. I'd love to get a Manila minted coin eventually. And then these are just more modern Bahamas, I think, Euro, and something else. Also, I think I forgot to mention, oh yeah, these were Greece dimes, and these were copper nickel. But fairly old, 1966 on this one. So some cool stuff in the first box that we've gone through, and we'll go to the next stuff. Alright, so I've sorted the loose change that was in the box. We had that really beat up Morgan dollar, Benji, 3 40% Kennedys, SLQ, a Washington quarter silver, and that bullet shot one, some Indian head nickels, Jefferson nickel that's really beat up or mint error. I don't know, I gotta take a closer look at it. 1 Roosevelt dime, and I think it was 19 Mercury dimes. I have not looked through the dates for any of this, so that's what I'm going to do now. Look if there's any rare years, vintages, varieties. So once I do that, I will bring you back and let you know what I found. Alright, so this is the 1948 S quarter. I mean, maybe it's just my mind playing tricks on me, but I can kind of see the S over S over S RPM to the right of the S there. I mean, in this shape, it's not going to have any value, but it would have been interesting to have caught this in the early stage of this quarter. It would have been worth quite a bit. I'll throw up what the actual RPM looks like on a nice quarter. So I can't really identify the date. It's probably 1920. The only real rare day you got to worry about is probably finding a 1921, which is definitely not a 1921. 1942 Merc dime, unfortunately not the over 1 variety. That would have been nice. 1942 S, not the inverted mint mark. Too bad. Alright, so I went through all this loose stuff. Didn't really find anything to note. I checked the Kennedys for doubling on the front. Didn't see it. SLQ, didn't find anything. Showed you the 48 quarter, possibly a RPM. This just looks like post-mint damage. There were 3 buffaloes. I could not get the date on. Those are them. I would need Nick a date. I don't have it, so maybe I'll get it at some point. This didn't have any of the doubling DDO or the 64D, I think it was. Didn't have the D over D RPM or any of the doubling. So I checked all the Merc dimes. They're all pretty common years and mint marks, but I checked them all for varieties. Did not find anything. The problem is they're fairly well worn, so it would have been hard to spot any of the doubling if it had it. So they're kind of past their prime there. But fun little hunt. Gonna go on to the big case now and go through that stuff. All right, I don't know if I should really mention it, but 1965 nickel that is in it's pretty good shape, and it's really ultra rare to have full steps on these. I'll put it underneath the microscope. It's close, but I mean it's not really close, but it's not bad for a lot of the examples I looked at. It's too bad it wasn't maybe preserved just a little bit better or found a little bit earlier. It's possible that had full steps when it was originally minted, but not to be. All right, so I just finished going through the Jefferson nickels, and I looked for RPMs, for rare dates, semi-key dates, key dates, RPMs, varieties, and of course full steps, but a lot of these are not in BU condition, so full steps wasn't going to be realistic there. So now I'm going to go over to, actually, we're going to look at some V nickels and see what we can find here. All right, went through the piles of the V nickels and the Buffalo nickels. Didn't find anything. I think it was the 1912S would have been the rare year. Did not have it. And then there's some older Buffalo nickels, and some of these had a shot of having varieties. Like 1918D has a 18 over 17. That would have been a cool variety, but that was not it. And 1920 had a variety. I forget what it was, but nothing in those. So on to the pennies that are slabbed. Well, it looks like we found a 1951 D over D. I don't see an officially recognized PCGS variety of this on Variety Vista. It looks like it's either RPM 009 or 010. You can kind of see the positioning of the D. Looks pretty similar to that. So, unfortunately, it's not PCGS recognized. Although they do have a variety listed, I can't find information. Oh, not this one. On the 1951 D over D FS 521 that they recognize. So, but this one's pretty toasty, so it's not probably worth anything, but just a cool find anyway. 1955, not the double die. As anybody who's watched my videos knows, I love looking for the 1955 double die. One day I hope to find one, but today is not that day. So we'll keep on looking. All right, so I finished going through the pennies. Looked for doubling, repunched mint marks, really only the one that I kind of showed you a possibility. So struck out there, but now we're going to go through some dimes. Look like some Eisenhowers, some Mercuries, So we'll go through the dimes, and if I find anything, I will let you know. Be right back. All right, so there were 6 Roosevelt silver dimes. I looked through them for RPMs, DDOs, did not find anything. Going to move on to the Mercs. All right, just starting the Mercs. Just figured I'd show you a 1917 Mercury dime. It's the second year of the Merc dime. It doesn't have a possibility of a variety, but just cool to see such an old Merc dime. Don't see them too much. So if I find anything else in the Merc dime section, I'll let you know. All right, so I went through the Mercs. There was 23 of them, and did not find a rare date or semi-key date or key date. Looked for RPMs, doubling. Did not find anything. On to the next batch of stuff. I think they're Barber dimes. So this is a 1912S Barber dime. There is a DDO variety of this. It's hard to tell if it's actually a DDO. You can kind of see maybe some splits on the serif here in the S, but it's also maybe damaged, so it's hard to tell. Let me show you the only picture I could really find on the web. I can't find a good example of this coin, but it does look like the S on the coin on PCGS does have split serif on the S here too, so maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Cool if it is, just not in, it's in pretty rough shape. Here, I'll show you what the coin looks like. So it's not really gradable, but it could be cool to find anyway for an old Barber dime. So that was all the Barber dimes. That was the 1912S was the only thing that I found a possibility. There's 6 of them, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 Barber dimes. Putting them away, and we're going to get out the next thing we're looking at. All right, so the next thing we're going to look at are Benjis. We'll look for, if there's any in good enough shape, we'll look for some full bell lines or any varieties, like the Bugs Bunny variety on some of the years. So we'll take a look. I'll be right back. So there's no official DDR for, this is a 1963 Benjamin Franklin $50, but I don't know, it seems to have some serious doubling. Maybe it's just the poor man's variety of doubling, but interesting nonetheless. Alright, so that does it for the Benjis. Didn't really find anything other than kind of that cool doubling on the 1963D Benji, but doesn't have an official variety or anything. Just cool to find. Onto the Walking Liberty Dollars, I believe. Alright, onto the Walking Liberty Dollars. Gonna look through them, look for varieties. You know the drill. Be right back. Alright, went through 8 of the Walking Liberty $50, and they were all common years. Looked for some RPMs, didn't find anything. Next, we're going back to Roosevelt dimes, because apparently I got them confused where more of them were, so we're going to look through the rest of those Roosevelts. Be right back. Okay, looked through the rest of those Roosevelt dimes, added, I think, 15 or 16 more, didn't find anything significant. On to the last part of the box. It is Washington quarters, starting with 1938. Hopefully we find something. If we do, I will break in and let you know. Alright, so we went through 32 of these silver quarters. Didn't find any varieties, unfortunately. Some of the, they were worn, but on a lot of these you would still be able to see some of the doubling or the repunchment marks. And unfortunately did not find any of them. So that actually concludes the box. We went through everything. So the loose change, the cents, the dimes, the $50, the quarters. So all that's left is going through a box of wheat pennies. So I'm just going to be going through those, looking for varieties and errors, and you know the drill. I'll be right back. Alright guys, that'll do it. Emptied out that box of pennies, looked for double dies, other varieties, semi-keys, key dates, didn't spot any of those. That's the pile of pennies that I went through. So I did find a couple, older pennies. Take a quick look at those. 1920. It kind of looks like a split too, but I don't really see that there's a double die variety of this, but it's an interesting find anyway. 1919, so there's some older pennies in this bunch, and 1925D, 1910. So I mean, you're not always gonna find stuff in these hunts. I mean, it doesn't work like that. These pennies are rare for a reason, and they're priced how they are because they are rare and they're hard to find. And you know what? If I didn't take the time to go through these pennies, I would have kicked myself, because you never know. My uncle may have had his 1955 coin filled in that slot, found another one, just threw it in this little box, and it could have been sitting here for 30, 40 years. Who knows? And then if I didn't look, you're not going to find those types of coins. So, well, this hunt was ultimately, I didn't find any of those ultra awesome varieties. It was still a fun hunt to go through this type of a situation. I mean, it's not every day somebody just hands you a ton of coins to go through and add to your own collection, which was incredible. Thank you again, Uncle Mike. I had a really good time going through those coins. I'm going to get them a little bit better sorted and put them in my collection. And well, I hope everyone watching enjoyed the hunt as well. And if you have any feedback or comments, please feel free to leave them in the chat below. Thanks for watching, everyone.